Welcome to our webinar, and thank you for joining us today. I'm delighted to welcome you to the launch of our second report in the What Workers Want series. By way of a brief introduction, I'm Jane Donnelly, Managing Director for the East of England, and I'm joined by Lisa Collin, People Director at Flagship Group. After taking you through the key findings from our What Workers Want report, I'll pass you over to Lisa, who will be discussing Flagship Group's candidate experience and journey. Just a reminder, you can type questions at any time during the webinar, and we'll spend a few minutes at the end going over some of these. Before we start with the main presentation, I'd just like to remind you that you can share your feedback and engage with What Workers Want conversation on social media. Simply follow us on Twitter at HayesNetNews or connect with us on Facebook or LinkedIn and use the hashtag WhatWorkersWant. This year, our What Workers Want report provides insights into what makes a successful applicant journey. The findings will help employers understand their strengths and weaknesses throughout the applicant journey and identify where they're at risk of losing talent. To put together the report, we carried out an extensive survey in February, which received over 14,600 responses from candidates and employers across the UK. The survey was completed by professionals from a variety of organisations and size across the public and private sectors. Our report specifically focuses on the applicant experience, or to track someone from applying to or accepting a role across the 4 key stages of the new career journey. The first being search, which includes the role of brand awareness and employer value proposition, applicant job search preferences, the information included in job adverts, and the ease of finding information about the employer. The second stage, apply. This includes the applicant's experience when applying for jobs, the application method and requirements, the time this takes, and the feedback and communication received after applying. The third stage, decide, which includes the structure and experience of interviews and screening, interaction with the hiring organisation, interview feedback, compliance processes, and the offer process and negotiation. And the final stage, join, which includes induction and onboarding processes prior to and after joining the hiring organisation, and the detail and length of these processes. We've identified 4 key factors that determine success at each of these stages of the applicant journey, looking at what applicants believe to be the roadblocks throughout. By using the insights from this report, employers can compare their application journey against the expectations and experience of the applicant, identify weak points, and focus on attraction strategies and future investment where it matters most, overall giving employers a competitive advantage in the war for talent. In today's intensively competitive market, the challenge isn't just about finding prospective candidates, it's keeping them engaged throughout the entire application process to the point of hire. Based on our research, 63% of applicants at one time or another across any of the 4 stages have been deterred from completing their application, with the main contributing factor being a genuinely poor applicant experience. Therefore, the key message to take away this year is that first impressions matter more today than ever before. Applicants are judging all aspects of the employer and the organisation. In addition to having a high level of expectation on how long a process should take and how easy it should be to apply, applicants have certain expectations along each stage of the journey. So employers need to ensure they're pitching these correctly to avoid losing talent. But employers are not necessarily aware of the problems along their own application journey. As we can see, there is an overall 10% gap in satisfaction rating between employers and applicants. 65% of employers think they offer a good or excellent experience. By contrast, only 55% of professionals who applied to a job in the past 2 years rated the applicant experience provided by employers as good or excellent. The remainder of respondents giving a very poor or neutral rating. So there's a clear mismatch here, and employers are largely unaware of just how vital first impressions made during the applicant journey are to ultimately a successful hire. Looking at this more closely, the applicant's rating of quality of experience declines from search through to the final stage, the decision to join. Employers, however, do not see much of a difference in the quality of experience they provide across any stages of the applicant journey, proven by the quality rating of employers declining by just 5% from just search to join. Overall, decide and join are the worst performing stages of the applicant journey, with a 16 and 14% employer versus applicant sentiment mismatch. The biggest applicant versus employer satisfaction gap, as we see, across the whole applicant journey is at the decide stage, which includes the structure and experience of interviews. Employers and applicants are at odds in their assessment of the decide stage. Just 49% of applicants rate their experience at this stage as good or better, versus 65% of employers, a 16% discrepancy. Overall, 84% of applicants say they had a negative experience during this stage. Unprepared interviews and a lack of interview structure are some of the main reasons why applicants are being deterred at interview stage. Poor communication regarding the process is a main contributor to applicant dissatisfaction. Poor experiences do not end once the applicant starts a new job, and these are impacting on the retention of new starters. Just under half of professionals say they had left at least one job in the first year because it did not match the expectations formed during the application process. The key areas where these new starters' expectations were not met were the job advert itself, training, and overall cultural fit, which was 33%. So what do workers want from their application journey? They want employers to be transparent and authentic. They want an efficient process and a personalised communication and functionality across each stage. And they want to feel welcomed. So let's take a closer look at each of these points. Today, applicants expect to be able to find out almost everything about their employer before they join. 1 out of 2 professionals won't consider applying if they can't find all of the information they require. Applicants want to see how an employer will invest in their personal development, their career plan, whether they have a public commitment to equality, diversity, and inclusion. For example, if employers do not make this information easily accessible, then candidates may be deterred right from the outset of the search stage of the applicant journey. When researching prospective employer candidates, they're really looking for authenticity. So to learn about what it's actually like to work for an organisation, applicants turn to both current and ex-workers for first-hand insights. Employers looking to recruit are therefore advised to regularly conduct employer brand health checks. 61% of applicants say that they have been discouraged from applying to a job after reading negative reviews online about an organisation. Interestingly, however, many employers don't consider review sites and staff testimonials to be an important part of the candidate attraction strategy. In fact, nearly half of employers, 48%, are in the dark about these reviews and say they're unsure or unaware of the sentiment of employee feedback online. Applicants are deterred by lengthy and inefficient processes and delays in communication. Our findings reveal a clear mismatch between employer and applicant expectations of how long the application process should take during the apply stage of the journey. Cumulatively, 71% of candidates would consider abandoning an online application if it's taken over 15 minutes. However, a substantial number of employers have an application process lasting longer than this time frame. Employer websites are providing a disappointing experience for many applications. 50% of applicants give a neutral to very poor rating of their experience when applying for a job directly on an employer's website or portal. The majority of those who gave these ratings, 72%, blame a lengthy process with too many requirements as the main contributing factor. While speed of process is important, it is clear communication along the journey that keeps applicants engaged. For example, 57% of applicants say it's important to receive confirmation of moving to the interview stage within a week of applying, but 36% of employers do not meet this expectation. Following the final interview, 58% of applicants expect to hear within 3 days if they've been successful, but a third of employers do not meet this expectation, taking up to a week or more. 25% of applicants have accepted a job verbally, but because of a long wait to receive the formal written offer, they've accepted another job in the meantime. 61% want to receive a written offer within 1 week of the verbal offer. Applicants more likely to apply to a role if the process is easy and provides personalized functionality and communication. According to our findings, applicants want more personalized functionality than employers currently offer on their career websites or online portals. Desirable features include the ability to set up job alerts, start and stop their application, or create a profile. Unfortunately for applicants, less than a third of employers have these functionalities built into their online portals or career websites. What's more, 41% of employers know their career sites provide a neutral or very poor experience to applicants. But irrespective of this, only half, 54%, say they are not going to invest in their career website functionality as part of their candidate attraction plan for the year ahead. So despite applicants' expectations of simple and streamlined online processes requiring fewer touch points with an employer, our research also shows that applicants still want the option for personal interaction as part of the process. Over 2/3 of applicants say it's important to them to have a contact person who can provide status updates on their individual application during the apply stage. 77% say this is important during the decide stage, and 89% during the join stage. The absence of such contact person can have a negative impact on the process overall. For example, of those applicants who say they've had a bad experience with an employer's career site, 29% attribute this to not having a contact person available during the apply process. Employer feedback is really highly valued, but not always provided. Over 3/4 of applicants say employers are not good at giving feedback after an application was rejected, while 66 say employers do not provide sufficient feedback following an interview, which applicants want to hear regardless of the outcome. Finally, the human element is still so important. Applicants are judging all aspects of the journey, and an unwelcoming first impression can be detrimental. From the way they're greeted at reception to experiencing the office environment, applicants are assessing all interactions with a potential employer. If initial first impressions are negative or unwelcoming, employers run the risk of losing out on the talent. Nearly half of applicants say they've been deterred from pursuing a role further due to a negative first impression of the organisation, while 22% have almost been deterred. 64% put this down to an unwelcoming environment, and 44% due to an unwelcome member of staff in particular. Almost 2/3 of applicants want to meet their direct reports during the interview stage, but only 13% of employers offer this opportunity. 59% of applicants want to meet with the recruitment consultant as part of the interview process, and 46% want to meet with potential colleagues as part of the interview process. However, the welcome process shouldn't stop once the job has been accepted. Once they've joined the organisation, new staff say the most important part of their induction is to spend time with the team. 84% cited this. Yet only 66% of employers prioritise this as a standard part of the induction process. Failure to conduct a thorough and welcoming join process may lead to loss of the new hire, with 1/3 of those who have left an organisation in the first 12 months saying it was because they weren't a good cultural fit. This is so important when you consider that 63% of candidates say the people and culture of an organisation is the single most important consideration when deciding whether to apply or not. So, to sum up, a good applicant journey is key to attraction. However, our research has found that candidates are being deterred from applying due to poor experiences along the applicant journey. They encounter a few common roadblocks, including meeting with unprepared interviewers. 47% of applicants have been deterred due to a lack of preparation by the interviewer. Negative employee reviews. 61% of candidates have been discouraged from applying to an organisation due to negative employee reviews. Online applicants taking longer than 15 minutes. 45% of candidates would be deterred from an online application if it took over 15 minutes to complete. Receptionists or staff that give a first bad impression. Nearly half of candidates have been deterred from a role due to a poor first impression, of whom 44% say this is because the receptionist or staff were unwelcoming. 44% say this is because they were really not happy at that first greeting point. So our recommendations include: speed up your process. As a first step, determine how long it takes to complete each stage of the application journey, looking one by one at specific components, such as the time it takes to submit an online application or to respond to applicants after interviews. Using this report, in discussion with your recruitment consultant, benchmark your times against the expectations of candidates to identify where your process may be falling short of expectations. As a second step, review the application requirements. For example, are you asking for information that is either unnecessary or could be provided at a later stage, thereby speeding up the key points along the journey? Finally, hiring managers and HR teams should work together to create a standard protocol for interviews and applicant communication. Setting expectations around an acceptable number of interviews and agreed timeframes to provide feedback or updates to applicants will help your organisation overall deliver a better, more consistent experience. When reviewing your processes, don't forget to review not only the time it takes to complete the process, but also what communication is going to the applicant at each interval. Ensure your process is streamlined and efficient, and keep the applicant engaged at each and every step. Invest in an online experience of applicants. While you may not be in a position to invest heavily in the capabilities of your career website or portal, there are some basic candidate expectations that must be met. First, ensure your website or portal is mobile optimized. Secondly, provide the ability for applicants to stop and start their application and to update their profiles, edit their CV, and upload additional profiles. Finally, if your online portal or site requires multiple steps, ensure it's clear to the applicant throughout the process where they are in the process and how long it will take. Overall, this should better help retain applicants until the end of the process of submitting their application. It's important to note, however, that there is these basic functionalities will only deliver an average experience to the candidate as a result of the advanced options that the likes of recruitment agencies or job boards can offer. Given the importance of the online experience to candidate attraction and the cost implications of creating an optimal solution, consider working with a partner, such as Hays, that can provide these important tools, such as more advanced online portals and applicant tracking systems. Consider creating a structured interview process. Aim to create a more standardized process across your organization, starting by auditing your hiring manager's current interview process. Review elements including interview structures, question techniques, the length and number of interviews hiring managers require. Again, consider using a third party, such as Hays Assessment and Development, to develop and support consistent assessment processes. Consider also investing in training and support for interviewers, improving your hiring manager's overall interviewing and questioning techniques. And as you look to create an organization-wide standard, be mindful, however, of the nuances and requirements that pertain to different specialist groups. Consider consulting with an expert to help you understand what techniques are best suited for different types of roles and seniority levels. For the training of hiring managers may be required if they are responsible for hiring from multiple of specialist areas. Make employee reviews part of your attraction strategy. The people and culture of an organization is the most important consideration for candidates when assessing whether to apply to a new role or not. To find out if the culture being promoted by an employer is authentic, applicants are looking to employer review sites for an honest answer. So it's essential to understand what the current sentiment about your employer brand is online. Conduct an employer brand health assessment by analyzing employer review sites and conducting social media listening exercises. If this assessment is unfavorable, consider building a strategy that encourages current employees to share positive comments about their experiences while addressing negative feedback by dispelling misconceptions and demonstrating the changes or improvements you're making. Finally, put in place a process to consistently track employee reviews and leverage the insights from your employer value proposition. And finally, test your journey. Like any good product, user testing of the applicant journey is key. People, time, and processes are the components that have the most influence on whether an applicant could be deterred from completing their application or accepting a role. Do you know what it's like to be a new person walking into your office or workspace? Are your staff welcoming to newcomers? Do you know what people find when they search for your organization as an employer? Do you know how difficult it is or isn't to apply to a job on your site? You need to be consistently reviewing your process end to end. And this report provides the first impressions that really do matter. So audit, assess, and refine yours to present your organization consistently in the best possible light to prospective candidates. So now you've heard what makes the ideal applicant journey. So how do you go about benchmarking your candidate experience? We've developed an online assessment tool to help. It's called the Candidate Journey Diagnostic. It's an online tool to help organizations improve their candidate experience. Our interactive tool allows you to evaluate how strong your candidate experience is against industry-leading best practice across 6 key assessment stages. Based on your self-assessment and specific goals, the tool automatically provides a rating against your answers and creates a personalized report of recommendations on how to take your candidate experience to the next level. Your bespoke report will benchmark your candidate experience score to help identify what makes a winning candidate experience, how to take your candidate experience to the next level, and areas of priority, quick wins, and ideas for continuous improvement. Calculate your candidate experience score and discover how to attract the right talent better, faster, and more cost-effectively. You can access the tool on hays.co.uk/candidate-experience and start making the improvements you need to achieve a winning candidate experience. I'll now hand you over to Lisa to offer us insights from Flagship Group.
Thank you. Thank you, Jane. Some great insight into what applicants want and what employees could also do. What I'd like to share with you is what we found employees want once they've joined us and the key stages of their employee journey. So, first a bit about who we are. So we are a not-for-profit housing association and we provide homes for people in need. That's our purpose. And to do that, we have housing management teams, in-house repairs and maintenance. We have our own development company who build our own homes, and we have just recently purchased Gasway, our gas servicing company. And being not-for-profit, we do like to make money, and all of our operating profits are invested back into our business to provide more homes for people in need. And we do have a big, hairy, audacious goal, which is to solve the housing crisis in the east of England. And having the right people working for us in the right way is a big part of us achieving our goal. So the world is changing, and so must we in the world of work. We know that there are some influences which are impacting on us. So the housing crisis is real. The population is growing and we are living longer. Brexit is looming and there are a number of unknowns with that. And as Jane mentioned, there is an absolute talent war going on out there at the moment. And for the first time in history, we are likely to have a multi-generational workforce, so up to 4 generations working for us in the same place at the same time. So where we work, how we work, and what we want from work is changing. We all have different needs, and some are common to all, but we decided to not lose sight that one size no longer fits all. And we had to question, do we design our employment system on what works for us as an employer, or do we design them on what works for our employees? And we were interested in the correlation between happy employees results in happy customers, which results in a happy business. So we kept that in the forefront of our minds. And we were also interested in that relationship between customer and employee satisfaction. And we uncovered a lot of research that had been undertaken with numerous studies to look at that connection between the two. And a majority of these studies were able to uncover a really strong correlation between employee satisfaction, customer satisfaction, and profitability. So some key factors in that research. Profit and growth are very much stimulated primarily by customer satisfaction and loyalty. Employees who are satisfied in their jobs provide higher levels of customer service, and employee satisfaction results primarily from internal high-quality support services and policies that enable employees to deliver results to customers. At the heart of these endeavours is a strong belief that today's employee satisfaction, loyalty and commitment will influence tomorrow's customer satisfaction, loyalty and commitment, and ultimately the organisation's profit and growth. Employee behaviour and attitude is one of the most significant drivers of customer satisfaction. So how do we use all this research and information to help us with our business? Well, let's just go back a step, and this is where we started. So we started tracking the customer journey, as I'm sure a number of people do, understanding what it truly felt like for them to do business with us. We didn't just ask our customers were they satisfied with us, we captured what they asked for. So what demands were they putting on us? What they asked for, whether it was by email, phone, social media, and how often they asked for it, so we could truly understand the demand of the customer. We then followed the work and understood not just how long it took from end to end, but how much activity goes on behind the scenes by our own staff, how many handoffs there were, how many times did we duplicate an action or a task, what activities were we really doing which absolutely delivered what the customer was asking of us, and how much we did just because it allowed us to feel a bit more in control and gave us some protection as a business just in case something went wrong. And we identified a lot of waste work at which we were asking our talented employees to work within that system. So we then spent a lot of time redesigning our systems with the customer at the heart of what we do. And we removed duplication, we removed the error rate, we improved the end-to-end time, and we took out all that waste work, therefore improving the customer journey. And we realised quite quickly that staff were much happier and performing better in systems that were designed by them because they were the ones who knew what was working and what was not working for the customer. So in looking at the customer journey, what we also realised that there is a report that over $1 trillion per annum worldwide is spent on businesses plotting the customer journey, but 1,000 times less than that is spent on the employee journey. So if we go back to that correlation of happy employees equal a happy customer, surely we needed to start with the employee journey and not just look at the customer journey. So we invested some time in understanding the employee journey, having found them, having taken them into our business, what were we then doing with them in their every stage of their employment? So rather than running loads of employee engagement initiatives, we recognised that employee engagement is actually the outcome of all the time invested and it's not the input. So we looked at our values and they weren't aspirational values, and you can see the 4 values we have which are running through every step of that employee journey. They were values which truly were important to us. They weren't what we were aspiring to be. And what we did is we followed the same principles of understanding the customer journey, so what demands were placed on us at every stage, but did that for the employee. We also developed a lot of data to help us understand what was truly happening. So measures, the traditional measures on staff turnover, length of service, reasons for leaving, and as importantly, we asked people why they were staying, what it was like working for us. And we realised that we were losing a higher proportion of people within their first 12 months, which is what Jane has already shared about when they've looked at why candidates were staying and going. And we needed to understand why. And having found that talent, what we didn't want to do was to lose them. But we also had to check whether we'd found the right people. Had we recruited the people whose values aligned to us as a business, or was that a miss in our process? So what we found, those that were leaving had felt that we'd not set them up for success. So we'd sold our business, we'd sold the brand of employing working for us, this continuous improvement, empowerment, but that actually wasn't then realised on the ground in their first 12 months of employment. So it enabled us to do something about it. So some of the other things we did were we modernised some of our offices. We aren't there yet. We're not there at getting all our offices to the same standards. But a great office is only one factor that influences the overall employee experience. And we needed to look beyond the physical environment to every part of that employee journey. What kind of employer did we want to be seen as, i.e. developing an employer brand so strong that people wanted to work for us? And what it all came down to, in every initiative we looked at, it came down to one simple thing: trust. We needed to learn to trust our talent to do the right things. So we looked at the dress code. We lost some really talented software developers because they couldn't wear shorts in the summer, because they were creative. They wanted to dress freely. They didn't want to just turn up to the office every day and work at the same desk at the same time. They didn't want to get stuck in the traffic coming to work. They wanted to wear shorts. So we developed a dress code. We asked staff what they wanted if we were to trust them, and they said, just let us do the right thing. So we created a dress code which is just dress appropriately, give people a framework to understand what dress appropriately means, but then trust them to do the right thing. Each of those software developers has since returned to us and reapplied more than once. We looked at our policies and procedures, and we kept some of the core ones, but we had a policy for everything and a procedure for even more. And they were all designed for, let's protect ourselves as a business. So let's make sure we're in control for when something goes wrong. That's probably something wrong. What we weren't doing is designing our policies and procedures for the 90% of our workforce who come in every day and do a cracking job for us and want to be trusted to do what's right for the business, the customer, their colleagues. We also looked at agile working and have since introduced where work is what we do, not where we go, where we trust our staff to do the right thing for the business, their colleagues, the customer. And actually we now measure output rather than input, not how long they sit at their desk. We looked at their wellness, their mental, physical and financial health. And the old long-term view of retirement and health just isn't enough anymore. What people want is to be looked after and to feel that as a business, we are looking after them. And that goes with flexible benefits, not one size fits all. Not everybody wants the same pension, not everybody wants the same leave allocation. So we've increased the ability to buy and sell leave, and offering one thing is just not enough unless those employees can access these benefits when they want to, at a time and place that works for them, because they're being more agile, they have responsibilities, caring responsibilities outside of the workplace. Then we had to make sure we aligned the digital experience to all of these systems so people can access the data when they want it. And being a business that focuses on continuous improvement, is what we realised is we were very quick to go, well, we could have done that better. And we were losing sight of not saying, but that bit went quite well as well. So we've given a greater focus to reward and recognition, which our employees told us was really important to them to continue to do a great job. So these are our people priorities for the next few years. And fundamentally, we trust our people. We're creating a great place to work. We're enabling great people to do great things. We trust our people to do those right things. We treat them like adults. We create the right environment for our people to flourish. And we trust our people to do what's right for our business, our customers, each other and themselves. Developing our employer brand. But leadership is key. It is a talent war out there, and we need to adjust what we do and how we do it to make sure we attract, retain and develop the best. In conclusion, to win in that talent war, we've put as much effort into understanding the employee journey as we do in understanding the customer journey, and we've gone and done something about it once we've understood what it feels like to work for us. We haven't got it right, we haven't finished, we've only started our journey, but we've made huge strides in improving us as a brand. And so much so that people now want to work for us, and those that are already working for us want to stay with us. And we've seen great results as a result of our customer satisfaction scores improving, our retention improving, the way people feel about working for us is improving. And we are truly starting to live out that correlation between happy employees equal happy customers, equal happy business. Thank you. I'll hand you back to Jane.
Thank you, Lisa. That was great. I think there's some real key learns there for a lot of us. It is, I think trust is so important. So, thank you all for your time. Do we have any questions from anyone? If you've got any questions, please type them into the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. Okay, we have a question coming through. So one question is, I'll just read out the question. I'm surprised to hear that so many candidates have had a negative experience during interviews. How can I ensure my hiring manager is conducting an effective interview? I think there's still a lot of interviewers who believe that it's all about the candidates selling themselves to the organisation. I really do think that has shifted. I think there has to be more about an authentic interviewer promoting what are the key benefits of working for the organisation. I think it's very much about the organisation selling themselves to the candidate. Now, I think that's the first key point. And also, I think a lot of organisations do still fail to have a structured interview process. So it's really about understanding what process you currently have and making sure that there is a structure to that. I think this report can really help you find out what are those specific nuances. But again, if you need more help, and we can please contact us, and we're more than happy to help. But I do think it's about having a good structure. It's about having a swift process and giving people effective feedback. But nowadays, it is there is an absolute war on talent, and it's not about the candidates selling themselves to us. It's much more about, you know, the employer promoting and really demonstrating an authentic image and getting that belief that this is an organisation that potential applicant wants to work for. Okay. Any other questions coming through? Okay, we've got one coming from a construction professional saying that they tend not to give negative feedback if people have failed that interview process. I think this is quite common. People don't like giving, letting someone down and saying no to someone. And I think a lot of people avoid giving feedback to unsuccessful applicants. Our research does show that communication and feedback is paramount. So it's really important that people give feedback timely, and it's all about giving constructive feedback. I think people will have a far more positive experience and they'll be left with a much more positive impression if they are giving constructive and fair feedback by which they can then improve upon. I think, you know, it's in today's social media world, a disgruntled applicant can really do some damage in terms of online reviews. So even if you're rejecting someone, you can reject them the right way so that they can move forward and improve upon their performance next time. Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, if you have any further questions or you'd like to speak to myself or Lisa or to anyone else within our organisation, please do get in contact. I do hope you found today's session a useful insight into what applicants want from employers and how you can improve the applicant journey. If you'd like to request a copy of the report, please speak to your usual contact or complete the form on our webpage. And again, we'll be delighted to provide you with any further consultancy or advice on this topic. And I'm sure, Lisa, if anyone would like to talk to you about the journey you've been through, that you'd be more than welcome to discuss that with them as well.
Most definitely. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much for attending, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.